Britain and the European Union are getting closer to making a deal on trade for both sides after Brexit. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen told Parliament today there is now a narrow path to getting the deal done. She confirmed that there are just two major sticking points: fair trade in the EU market and fishing rights for EU boats in UK waters. Senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer has been following all of the latest developments. She is with us now to explain what's going on. Boy, Elizabeth, like every time I sort of check in to see what's happening with Brexit, I think there's no way they're going to get it done, but they keep sort of giving themselves one extra lifeline. So I want to talk to you about these outstanding issues: fishing rights and what they're calling a level playing field. Why is fishing such a big issue?
Before we get to that, I was going to say that I've been tracking the probability of a deal through looking at the bookmakers, the betting shops, all day. We were watching about a 70% chance of a deal this morning, and I just heard it's gone up to 81%. So the mood music coming out of Brussels is very upbeat. Back to fisheries. So basically the UK is an island and it has the richest fishing waters in the European area, as well as the largest. And this is really a fight over who gets the fish and whether European boats get to fish in British waters. The deal there looks as if they're heading to is that Britain will allow European access, but the total catch will be divvied up so that Britain gets a larger part of the quota. Now, Boris Johnson needs to be able to go to the fishing communities in Britain and say, I was your champion, I've defended your rights, and you are going to get more of the share of what everyone catches. We are not going to see European boats excluded from British waters. And in any case, this is going to be phased in over the next few years. But Boris Johnson needs politically to be able to say, I got that for you, even though really, if you look at the value of fish as part of the UK economy, it's very small. I think it's 0.01%, but it's become symbolic of British sovereignty, and that's why it's turned into such a wrangle.
So negotiations on this deal started 9 months ago, Liz. Why? I think if you're an American and you are, digging into this from time to time by either watching CBS News or reading the newspaper, you're wondering, why have these talks dragged out for so long? Do Britons want Brexit or do they not?
Well, if you remember the referendum, about half do and a half don't, which tells you something about the tricky politics of it. And then, of course, this is really ripping up a relationship that's been solid and in place for 40 years. So you can think of it as a very, very messy divorce. So first it was divorce, it was painful, it was politically fraught, and now they're trying to come up with, what would you call it, a sort of a post-nuptial agreement so that we can go back to trading one another without tariffs. That's the key. So that there isn't this massive snarled bureaucracy that stops goods moving freely between the EU and Britain. Because, we're huge trading partners, and it would make everybody crazy if suddenly we had to have, customs checks and huge lines of trucks being looked at by customs officials and masses of paper. Everybody wants not to go there. So this agreement, which they're racing to get signed, would just get rid of all that, to everyone's relief.
Yeah, we keep using sort of the divorce analogy, but divorce is between two people. This is like one person getting a divorce from 28 people, and they all have different interests and needs. So it's no surprise that it's really coming down not just to the wire, but almost past it. What are the consequences if no deal is made by the end of the year?
Well, some of what I've just talked about, you know, those customs inspections and tariffs kicking in.
Yeah.
But with tariffs kicking in, you got piles of paper about the tariffs and so on. There's a small possibility that they could say, let's have a little bridging agreement. We'll say status quo. We'll pretend that we've got an agreement. You know, there's a lot of fudge room if they want it, and it will really depend to some extent on what political leaders need to say to their own people to look as if they've stood up for them, as you say, 27 European countries and Britain. But as I say, the mood music is good, and we may see the British Parliament actually voting on a deal next week. I know the MPs have been told to be ready to sit. They should be on Christmas break, but they've been told it's likely they're going to have to come back to the House next week, which is another sign that something's within reach.
And Liz, after von der Leyen's comments, there's been the pound sterling has been climbing to levels not seen since May of 2018. Why are folks so bullish on it?
Yeah, well, we should get that in perspective. It's gone up 2p from 133 to the dollar to 135. And I think that's mainly just because financial markets love stability and a deal, something that all businesses could look at and see what they had to do to be in compliance. And especially, you know, the finance industry, which is huge in and out of London, if they could see what the terms were, everybody would relax, and Britain can count on some stability in its trading position going forward. So I think that's what you're looking at. You're just looking at the financial markets thinking, yeah, that would be really good to understand the rules.
All right, Liz Palmer.
Vlad, when Elizabeth talks, don't you feel just much more comfortable about how things are unfolding?
I really do. I sort of feel like a deal is on the horizon. I'm not worried anymore,
thanks to you. Yes.
Liz, we appreciate your reporting as always. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.